Hello, D&D fans, and welcome to episode 11 of Holy Rollerz, a 4.5 cleric D&D campaign where each of the characters can channel divinity, and at least one of the characters has likely been naked on stage and backstage. And I'll let you determine which one of those, in character, that is.
Gizik!
100%.
Oh,
It wasn't me.
Perhaps in a carnival of some kind.
you and your customs and social mores.
Yeah, I could see Gizik's mother trying to make a profit off of him that way.
They call it Skyclad, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. And by the way, in case you hadn't noticed, Merry Christmas to everyone who is watching or who is about to celebrate. This will be our last episode of Holy Rollerz for the year. We will be releasing next week, however, our episode 0 when we are on break. So even though you will not get a fresh live episode of Holy Rollerz, you will still get a newbie or something new. So you can go ahead and see how that works out for everybody.
But it'll still be fresh.
But it will be fresh. Yeah, it won't be new. Episode 0 will still be
stale. It'll be
yes.
fresh.
All of the above. All that good stuff. Great. Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and get into a little bit of lore. So, the world of Ienia, its timeline revolves entirely around the Shattering Era, the period of history over 500 years ago when creation began to unravel. There are many theories about why Ienia experienced its own dark ages, but the effects were undeniable. Natural laws were breaking down. As the length of days became unreliable, magic became unstable, and a strange aging sickness known as the wasting began to spread across the land. In the West, the Jesher Empire escaped the worst of this era due to the semi-divine influence of the spirit clans that the Jeshanese worship to this day. In the Eastlands, where our campaign currently takes place, it is believed that the Archfey prevented the land from falling into complete chaos by using their power over nature to sustain that continent and create pockets of inhabitability. The Shattering Era ended with the arrival of the Outer Gods, who restored the balance of nature, time, and magic. But the memory of the people in the Eastlands about how civilization was brought to its knees stands as a testament to transgenerational trauma. The current generations are far removed from the Shattering Era, but in the minds of the immortal Archfey, who prevented Ienia's destruction, it happened only yesterday. Something that might come into play at some point. Good to know. Anyway, all right, and now for a brief recap. Last time on Holy Rollerz, the party engaged in pitched battle in the churchyard of Winterrun's Chapel of Bestera against Epistivus, a white witch of the faith of man. Epistivus was trying to coerce a mob of townsfolk to burn down the church, but when Lachlan managed to turn the tide of the mob, the cold-blooded elf fired an arrow at him. The priest descended upon the faith of man lieutenant, but found him bolstered by members of the Redcaps disguised as farmers. One of the farmers knifed Anduriel in the side, and another chased brother Miles Havernell, a halfling priest of Bestera, to the doors of the chapel, where he was confronted by Thora, a visiting druid of Finhefara, goddess of wild nature and elemental earth. Thora took the form of a number of devouring scarabs and aided the party in driving the Redcaps to flee, while Gizik rolled a natural 20 and tore Epistivus' head clean from his shoulder.
Peace out.
However, things began to get weird. Epistivus' disembodied voice was heard urging the Redcaps to hate the clerics, and then a real Redcap, a fey creature that survives by bathing in the blood of victims, crawled from the body of a bandit. Lachlan used his telepathy to taunt the fey, and when he made contact, he realized the mind of the creature belonged to the same Redcap bandit they had just slain moments before. Ooh. So, many questions have yet to be answered, but in other words, there you stand. The crowd has dispersed at this point. People kind of went running, but there were a few people outside of the churchyard standing in the streets who kind of watched everything. So you had a few witnesses, but as the battle gets more and more pitched, people have begun to run, which kind of gives you an idea of what kind of spectators we're looking at when we have people running out of fear and not sticking around to watch the show. which gives you an idea of how fearful or concerned they are about sticking around. But in any case, the combat has died down. The Redcaps have either fled, were killed, and there lies Episthephus's body. And shortly thereafter, everybody just kind of looks around, and there you stand on the field of battle. And that is when the door to the chapel opens again, and out comes that little halfling. He's not too old. He's about, look down here on my special little chart of information. He's about maybe 40 years old in terms of human age, and he's pretty short. He's under halfway under 4 feet tall. Has whiskers on his feet, and he's somewhat plump, not morbidly plump, but you can tell he likes his pie. That was actually his first suggestion when this all started, was that everybody come in and have a piece of pie. And that didn't work out so well for him. And he looks around at the bloody mess. There are 2 dead bodies, and they're just, it's pretty gross. And he looks around and goes, oh my, that's not going to come out of the flagstones very easily. Oh my.
Nope. Don't worry about it. Rain will wash that blood right away.
We could flip them over.
Okay.
How about that pie?
Okay. Yes, that's a good idea. We should all go inside and have some pie. Yes. I come back. Yes. Okay.
Brother, please take as much time as you need. Step back into the kitchen where you're more comfortable.
All right. He smiles up at you, and he grabs his walking stick, and he's just walking and clacking on the ground with a stick and walking backwards and opening up the door to the chapel and walking inside.
Okay.
I'm assuming you all follow him?
Yeah. No, Lachlan steps up and says to Thora, he says, Lachlan Dulay, thank you for the aid. Your name, sir?
It's very nice to meet you. My name is Thora Mikitas. I've been here for a couple of weeks. I've been helping out in ways that they desperately need.
Is he wearing a holy symbol? Are you wearing a holy symbol?
Yes, I have a symbol to Finhefara on my chest, which is a tree, and its roots seem to become a globe. So like a single tree, and from that tree, like the globe.
What do I need to roll to know that's Finhefara?
A 10.
Okay, easy. He says, oh, you worship Finhefara. Well, that's a neat trick with the whole bugs and things. Kind of gross, but we'll take it. How about some pie?
What's wrong with bugs?
Well,
let's go get pie.
Yeah.
Enough standing around talking. Let's get some pie.
And don't eat mine this time, giant.
Please, after all of you.
So Zoltar81, I think that's John in our chat. He's says, "Are there audio issues happening?" He's not hearing anything. So, are you still not hearing anything, John? Or okay, never mind. He's gonna see, we're looking out for you, John. Just so you know, we know you're there and we love you.
Chrome can't be trusted, Zoltar. It just can't be trusted.
Hey, Firefox does the same thing. You can mute the tab. It's great.
Truth.
Not when you're trying to listen, but.
Sorry, I distracted us from our Dean Winchester moment. Yes, let's go have some pie.
All right. So Brother Havernell leads you into the chapel, and it's really big. It's quite a bit bigger than the chapel that you found in Hollydale, because Hollydale was a town of a few hundred, and Winter Run is a town of a few thousand. So the chapel is much bigger, but he leads you into the back room, which would be a rectory kind of area, and he takes you back into the kitchen. And he says, everybody, please have a seat. And as you come in there, you see 2 more people. One of them is already in the kitchen, but you pass another of them who is polishing the pew even though the pew is like sparkling. In fact, you look around, there's not a speck of dust anywhere in the chapel, and he's just polishing those pews in the church again, and then he's sweeping and looking, and you get the distinct impression he's not quite sure what else to do. So
let's make sure we make a mess.
Okay.
Not to be mean, just to,
give him something to do.
Do you say that out loud, or do you tell him telepathy that?
No, that's just his own. He might just observe that. Anybody watching Lachlan's going to see him act. The crumbs are going to fall.
All right, crumbs are falling from Lachlan, and everyone's going to be like, "Whoa, is he sick?" Okay, is that a sin for you? I'm not sure. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so he's there tending, and you come in, and Sister Contratia welcomes you. She's a human girl. Looks like she's maybe 20, 19, sweet young thing, very innocent looking, and she smiles shyly at you, and then you walk in, Lachlan, and then she looks at you, and she's like, "Hello and welcome to the chapel. I welcome. My name is."
Is she like a nun?
No.
Okay.
No, she's not. She doesn't belong to the Order of the Hope Maidens.
So fair game.
But she looks very sweet, and she says, "Oh, Brother Havernell." She says, "Are these the ones who were helping in the front yard?" And he says, "Yes, sister. They frightened the mob away, and when the faith of man got aggressive, they actually fought them." And she says, "Oh my, I hope nobody was hurt. You didn't hit them hard, did you?"
Nobody important was hurt.
Okay, Gizik, you walk in, and she looks up at you, and she goes, "Oh, hello." Looking at you.
Thora will approach Sister Contratia and put a hand on her shoulder and say, "Have you been tending the garden like I showed you?"
Well, yes. I've been tending the garden, and I dug up all the vegetables. I mean, I planted the weeds. No, I mean, well, yes, I've been doing the good things. Okay, so Thora, this would be maybe, I don't know, if you were to launch into it, maybe the 10th time you've run over the simple tasks that you gave her to do. And you can tell she's like nervous. Like she's like, "Oh, I hope he doesn't go look at what I did." For all you know, she like planted forks in the garden, hoping they would grow into silverware. Sister Contratia is, she's a little dense. And anyway, Brother Havernell says, some plates, sister. We're going to have pie. Yes, that's what we should do. We should all have a nice slice of pie and a drink. Everyone should have a drink. Yes. And so Sister Contratia comes out, and she puts down mugs in front of on a table, and there are plenty of chairs at the table, and Brother Havernell gestures for everyone to sit, and he climbs up onto the chair, and it's a bit of an effort for him, but he does so rather deftly. And she puts mugs in front of everybody, and then she sets a great big cherry pie in the center of the table with a knife and one fork. And then she smiles.
Yes, Gizik grabs a piece. And he eats it.
Okay, nobody's cut the pie yet. Is Gizik just going to reach in?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Gizik, you go to reach in, and Brother Havernell, with the most passion you've seen from him, goes, "No!" And he reaches out and pulls the pie away. He says, "Well, I mean, what I mean to say is, I don't want you to lose any of the pie. We need to cut it." And then he starts cutting it into pieces, and he says, "Sister Contratia, pie," and she says, "It's there." And he says, "Plates, sister, plates." And she says, "Oh," and then she runs to the cupboard, sets the table. He has to remind her they're going to need a fork at least, and she puts out a fork and a spoon and a knife, and then she sits back and she says, I thank you so much for your efforts here. I don't know what we would have done. She said, "There's mandatory training in fisticuffs when you enter the priesthood, but we haven't had a need for such skills. I mean, not in the whole time that I've been here. So brother Havernell, the halfling, looks up and he says, Sister Contratia has only been with us for a little over a year. She's quite new. And he says, I'm afraid I must apologize. I didn't account for myself very well, but unfortunately, Hope Master Andante said that we were to protect the church at all costs. And so I've made that my first priority. I hope you'll forgive me for closing and locking the door, but Thora said that it was okay, and I figured that following that directive was probably the wisest course of action. But
Where is Hope Master Andante?
Okay. Much like you saw previously and with other people, he looks at the ground and he takes a big bite of pot. He's trying to give himself some time. It's like it's a Twix moment, where you rip the Twix and you shove it in your mouth really fast so you don't have to talk. And he says, yes, Hope Master Andante is indisposed and he's away from the chapel.
All right. And Duriel's sitting there. He's silently asking Naylock if this girl isn't the perfect member of our crew, based on how she's reacting to everything. Like, she's the next one, isn't she, Naylock? She is the next one. Gosh dang it. No, but so he kind of pipes in, and I guess I don't know if I have to do a charisma check, even though I'm not trained in it. But and Duriel says, "Look, we just got off the road with a soothsayer. I'm tired of people speaking in riddles. Would you please speak plainly to us, as we've helped protect this place that you've said is so important to protect?" So I'm trying to stay calm.
Okay.
I want to aid him by saying, they were going to burn you alive and burn down the chapel with you in it. We stopped them. Where is Andante and what? And indisposed? That's a euphemism. What did he do and where is he?
Okay. He squirms quite a bit at you, unfortunately, and he squirms and he looks like, well, I mean, it's not polite to speak of, but I don't mean to be coy. It says it's so upsetting. Mind you, I don't believe it. I don't believe one word of it. But you understand that what's happened is so disturbing. Hope Master Andante was accused of high theft from the Miners Guild, and he was also accused of assaulting the Guildmaster's daughter. You see, he was caught with her trying to flee the city. It was all quite disturbing. And he says we were only allowed to speak with him very briefly before he was taken to Castle Winterguard. He's locked up in the dungeon there still, and what with no one being able to enter the castle, well, none of us are really quite sure of what to do.
Thora puts a hand on Brother Havernell's shoulder and says, Brother, deep breaths. All will be well.
Yes, deep breaths. Yes, thank you. I'm sure all will be well. The goddess will... Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, all he says is, the goddess will guide us through this as she guides us through all things. And hope in all things, right? Right, Sister Contratia? We hope in all things. We hope in all moments. There is no situation without hope, which is a litany of the church. One of the litanies of the Church of the Bestera that you hear all the time is, there is no wound that cannot be healed. There is no situation, or there is no place without hope. It's something that they believe. So he's kind of like spitting out the litany, but you can tell he's spitting out the litany for him and for you. So, Anduriel, you say what?
I was just going to ask, that being said, why was this building so important to protect? Why did he want you to protect this place?
He seemed to be under the impression that the faith of man's purpose was to destroy the chapel. He was quite adamant about it. We weren't allowed to speak with him for very long before the just blades took him away. It was quite abrupt. It wasn't a very long conversation, and it was quite disturbing. But
well, he's probably right. In Hollydale, the Faith of Man killed the priest, took over the chapel, desecrated it, and when we got in there were mutilated bodies and a ghost. It was terrible. You did the right thing.
I think I need some more pie. Okay. He wolfs down a piece of pie that looks like it would fill any one of your stomachs, and then he serves himself another one, and he says, "This is all very disturbing." He says, "We've been waiting for a sign. We've been praying very hard and keeping to our orders, and we all felt that it was the right thing to do. We felt that Bestera wanted us to protect the chapels. You see, the chapel is the lifeblood of any town in the Republic, but certainly here in Winterrun, where we have so many strangers coming through, because it being the gateway to trade and all, it's very important that the church be strong here, as strong as it is anywhere, as strong as it is in the city of Horda itself, or even the capital, Lair. We need to make sure the church stays strong, so I thank you. I do think it was right that we stayed. But I don't know what to do. We can't stay here forever."
No, it's time to go on offense. Faith of Man's got to go down.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
You say it's time to go on offense, and Sister Contratia titters in the background like, "Oh."
Yep, she's perfect.
Yeah. So,
The faith of man must fall.
yes. So she looks around and she picks up a piece of pie and she serves it and puts it in her cup and just sits there with a flagon full of pie, and she says, "Well, I hope you don't mean, we'll all be needed for fisticuffs. I don't know that I'd be much good there." And Brother Havernell, he reaches over and for him, he kind of has to lunge across the whole table. And he's like, there, sister. And he turns over to you and he says, "Sister Contratia is a marvelous healer. And that really is the reason why she took her vows, I think, if I don't speak out of turn, sister." And she just kind of looks at him and smiles weakly and nods. And he says, "She's not even been trained very well in clerical magic to begin with." He says, "But on the offensive, what do you mean?"
Tell us about the unrest with the dead.
Oh, he says, "That's most disturbing." He says, "Now, mind you, I haven't observed it myself, but from what I know, they've sealed off the graveyard. It's very disturbing. No one's allowed to go in because something there is dangerous. And there have been people, townsfolk all over the town who've been claiming that they've seen their loved ones. And not only that they've seen their loved ones, but that they seem tormented or angry. There are many who are beginning to whisper that it's a sign of the goddess Bestera's displeasure with us, that she's
That's
angry."
nonsense.
I agree. I don't feel she's angry with us. The people of Winterrun may be rough around the edges in some places, but they're good people. Most of them. We do have a lot of foreign elements coming through, he says. People from Aquinocia in the north, and even Halter's Mill, and some from Dover, where I'm from, even farther north, he says. And some from even farther than that because of the ships on the coast, he says. But the people are good. I don't think that she would be angry with us. And I've prayed, and I've had no response like that. I feel that there's something sinister at work here. But the graveyard is closed off, and so that might be a good place to start." And
Who closed it off?
He says, "The Just Blades. No one's been allowed in for, well, it's been weeks now. I don't know why they've closed it off. You'd have to ask them."
Is it under guard?
"Of course. It's a walled cemetery, don't you know? It's in the hillocks, And you guys have, Thora, you know what he's referring to. Anduriel, you've been here before, so you know that the hillocks is the top part of the town. It's the town it's elevated. It's a bunch of hills. Castle Wintershield is in that area of the town. Has some nicer houses. It also has a watchtower that's dedicated to another order of the knights, those that have aerial mounts, actually. But the cemetery is up there also.
During this conversation, you guys definitely noticed that Thora's expression, which was very serene, has darkened.
So he's frowning or just glowering?
He's upset.
Yeah.
Okay. Anduriel's been kind of sitting back, doing his intense observing. Almost looks like brooding.
Almost. Sure.
I'm Batman.
Darkness. No parents. Anyways, so he says, Thor, you seem troubled by this.
The cycle has been disturbed. Finhafara is a goddess of life, a goddess of nature, and undeath disturbs that. Life ends, new life begins from that end. And if something's disturbing that cycle, it's something I need to look into.
On that much we can agree, my friend. I feel we need to address this right away.
Okay. Brother Havel, he says, well, it would be wisest, I assume, then to travel to the hillocks. It's a good walk. It'll take you a couple hours to get there, he says, but that would probably be the best place to begin. You could ask the Just Blades about that. They might know more than we do. We've been holed up here trying to protect the church.
Is there a way we could sneak over the wall and avoid the Just Blades?
I imagine it's not very high.
Oh, good.
Is there an underground way in?
He says, there might be. I don't truly know, to be honest with you. He says, you see, I haven't even been in the city very long myself. He says, I've only been here for a few years. He says, I came down from Dover in the north. And he says, I know there are catacombs of some of the older families in Winterrun, but I don't know if there's an underground entrance. He says, Hopemaster Andante might have known, but he didn't see fit to pass that knowledge along with us. Okay, you look over and Sister Contratia is trying to eat the pie out of her cup.
Use a fork.
Yeah. Okay. Gizik,
I will slide my plate to her.
I'm gonna telepathically say to Gizik, she's your type.
Okay.
Getting lessons on table manners.
And then just wink at Gizik.
Well, there's this new gesture I just learned. I will
experiment.
Yes. I'm not sure what the gesture is in that culture, but I'm going to use it with Lachlan.
All right. So you give the equivalent of flipping off Lachlan, whatever that looks like, and Brother Havernell, like you lift your arm and make that gesture, and maybe you grunt at him a little bit, and Brother Havernell is like, "Oh, hey," and he says, "My, you are big, aren't you?" He says, you know, up in Dover, he says, we have some with giant blood also. In fact, some of them even serve as protectors in Arvorine's guard. I suppose you have a touch of giant blood in you yourself, eh?
Ogre, not giant, but yeah.
Oh, yes, ogre. Yes. Well,
it's better.
It probably comes in handy. You need to lift a wagon horse. Anyway.
So far, not as handy as you'd think. Anyhow, thank you so much for your hospitality.
Very handy for tearing the heads off of wicked priests. So
Oh, all right, you say that, and Brother Havernell says, "Oh dear, well, we'll need to lay those bodies to rest. We can't
yeah,
just."
I was gonna suggest that we do that so that you don't have an undead problem on your porch.
Okay, Sister Contratia says,
I'll take care of it.
"There are bodies? Oh my! Oh my! I think I need a drink."
Don't worry too much about the bodies.
Okay.
The spirits are off somewhere else.
Okay.
The majority
All right.
have been put to rest.
She coughs on the pie that she's trying to drink, and then shakes her head and goes over and grabs a glass, and she fills it with water from a pitcher. And Brother Havernell says, "It's all right, sister. You don't have to clean it."
They're all natural.
Yeah, he says, "I'm sure you'd have a hard time getting Brother Ferrante to even let you do any of the cleaning. It's all he's been doing since the Hope Master was taken. But we'll take care of it. You don't need to worry, dear." And once again, he reaches over the table, which for him is he's got his whole body, and he just gives her a gentle pat on the hand, and she says, "Yes, I should get back to the garden." And so she says that, and Thora, you're like, ugh. Like, maybe the garden's had enough attention from her. But anyway, okay. Brother Havernell looks up and he says, "Well, we'd best get to cleaning up that mess." He says, "Will you be off to the graveyard straight away?"
Do you have anything that could aid us? Any holy water or healing potions we could take in case we run into some danger?
He says, "Oh, yes." He says, "We do. We can certainly help you in that regard." And he says, Sister Contratia, the key." And she reaches up on top of one of the cabinets and is like, reaches up, and she finally pulls a key down off of it. And Brother Havernell says, "Please come with me if you would." And he goes trotting along, leads you out of the kitchen and into kind of a little living area and down one of the doors into what looks like just a nice little laboratory, almost sparsely equipped. You see it's kind of an all-purpose storage room, but there's a heavy locked wooden cabinet. And he goes and unlocks the cabinet, and he opens it up, and you can see that there is just a big old hoard of elixirs and potions and reagents and medicines and all kinds of different herbs. And he goes, "Well, you're certainly going to want one of these." And he reaches back behind him without even looking to see who's behind him.
I'm taking it.
Right. Okay. So Lachlan, you come up forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so he hands you a potion, and they're pretty small. I mean, healing potions aren't enormous, but he hands you a potion, and he says, "This one has quite the kick, and we only have 2 of those." And so he hands you 2 potions of vitality, which do quite a bit more healing than a healing potion. He says, "I'm afraid that's all we normally carry. Hope Master Andante is the only one who knows the brewing of them." And then he leans over, he says, "But we do have a lot of smaller injuries that can be healed." And he pulls back and hands you 6 more vials.
Are they healing potions?
Those are just regular healing potions. And he tells you what they are.
Okay.
Nice.
I'll pass the little ones around. I'm keeping those big ones unless someone tries to,
Okay.
We'll have a conversation.
Okay. All right. So Lachlan has this armful of 8 potions, and you're just gonna stuff them in your satchel or your backpack?
Oh yeah. Well,
okay.
I'll just stuff the big ones in and then pass the little ones two to each of our party.
Okay.
He figures if worse comes to worse, he'll give Anduriel a drink of
blood.
The old jugular.
Oh, great. Yeah.
The ultimate potion of vitality.
You can tap the potion straight from the source. That's great. Okay. So he loads you up with all that, and he's like, well, we have an ale purgative here also, and this will keep you very regular. And he was like, flaxseed, anything else?
Brother, I think that's all they need.
Oh,
How about the holy water? Any holy water?
Oh, yes. And he says, the holy water. So he goes down to the bottom shelf of the cabinet and he opens up a little chest and he says, we've certainly not had much need of this. And he pulls out 3 vials of holy water. And Duriel, you're pretty sure they're holy water.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say to that.
You not only recognize it as holy water, Anduriel, but you can pretty much feel that it's holy water. So,
Lachlan says, Anduriel, he gave us 3, so he'll keep 1 and give 1 to Thora and 1 to Gizik, and says, I don't want you to make a tactical error in the middle of battle and sip one of these.
That would be bad. Okay.
Well, I'm not really excited about the holy water, but I'll take it and kind of and put it in my bag.
Well, holy water's not something that your mother had much use for, Gizik, but nevertheless, you do know that it can be used sometimes to torture things out of people, so you never know. Plus, what if Anduriel turns on you at some point during the combat? You just chuck that on him. And... Okay.
Or,
so anyway,
he's passed out somewhere, and we're like, and just start dripping it on his forehead.
Just burn some eyebrows off.
Exactly.
Not so pretty anymore.
So, Brother Havernell looks at you, and he says, I wish that there was more that we could do for you. He says, you remind me of the Coalition. So, please make a knowledge religion check, DC 13. Everybody can make it.
Got it.
19.
21.
Okay. All right. The United Coalition of Faiths is something, Anduriel, that of course sounds familiar to you because you have been ordered to refound it or to be looking towards it. And so the rest of you...
Reboot.
Reboot. The rest of you know that the Coalition was that interfaith council of priests who used to attend to matters that were a threat to all of the different churches and whatnot. So it's evocative of that. But he reminds you of that, and you get the idea that he is wistful about it. And he says, I used to belong to the Coalition. I actually traveled from Dover all the way to the city of Valoria before it was sacked, that is. And he says, and I must tell you, it was quite an inspiring organization. The things that they did, and seeing all of you here, it just reminds me very much of that. The gods indeed must be intent upon cooperation to have brought so many of you together to aid Bestera's church in its time of need. And he puts his hand over on your what would be your shoulder, but it really ends up putting it on your hip. It's almost a butt grab. So he just pats the side of you, Lachlan, and he says, the goddess be with you in your journeys. And please don't hesitate to come back to the church should you require sanctuary. He says, we may not be able to leave, but we will protect you if you should need it.
Thank you.
And he looks at, and he gets this steely little look in his eyes for a minute, and he says, and the next time danger comes calling, the doors will not remain closed. And that's it. And that's all he says. So anyway, you kind of get the idea that he's not happy about maybe the way he conducted himself, but there you go. Okay.
Anduriel, we're getting ready to go, obviously. So Anduriel turns to Thora, says, as someone who is familiar with the cycle of life and death, would you accompany us on this task? We may have need of your help.
I would be happy to. It was my intention to investigate this regardless of outsiders coming to help. I need to make sure that this cycle returns to its normal balance.
All right. Then let's
Okay.
get out of here.
Okay, so you guys, anything else you want to do before you head off to the cemetery and the hillocks?
I'm gonna. Thora's gonna go back to Sister Contratia and be like, "No, the seed goes in the dirt, and then you water it.
Yeah,
Why are
okay.
you putting metal in the soil again?"
Okay. All right. So she goes out to gather up all the forks out of the garden and goes back. I mean, who knows what it's going to look like when you get back? But
Yeah.
Naylock, just double checking. We're not taking her, right? Just
yeah, no,
double checking.
there is no sign forthcoming, unfortunately.
All right.
All right. So the hillocks, the cemetery is quite easy to find. It takes you walk for about an hour and a half. You make your way there. There are quite a number of wagons that go through the street that you see, people in a bustle. But you've been to Winter Run before, Anduriel, and Thora, you've been here for a while, and you know that there aren't as many wagons moving through the streets as there should be. It's almost a constant stream of traffic, and it's really gotten kind of sparse. And you're seeing people, but everybody seems to, be kind of quickly moving on about their way. It's about, I don't know, it's approaching the, not quite sundown, but somewhere near there. So maybe about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And you'll arrive sometime around 4 or 5 o'clock. And do you want to head straight towards the gate, or are you just going to head to the wall? What's your plan?
I want to head to the exact. Well, this is Lachlan suggests. He says our last encounter with the Just Blades was unpleasant. I would suggest we go as far away from the gate and enter from the far side.
Agreed.
I'm up for some climbing.
Climbing's easy. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Or, we could throw Anduriel over. And...
Okay. All right. So you you walk along the wall to the cemetery, and you can see over the wall. It's only about 2 squares high. So to get over it, you could easily, boost Anduriel over. You could easily climb over the wall yourself with a simple athletics check. Do you want to try to get over when no one's looking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to need a stealth check from you then, from each of you.
Is that still dex-based?
Stealth is dex-based, yes. You don't have to be trained.
I'm going to make a suggestion that who would be observing us?
Well, anybody in the street. You can try to go over the wall when there's nobody watching, or you can try to find an area of the wall where nobody is looking. It's up to you.
I'm just thinking, what if I do a perform check a little ways away as a diversion, so that the others can get in, and then, because I've got a +7 to stealth. I'm guessing that's a little higher than Gizik.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You can definitely become a distraction if you would like, Lachlan. And Thora, if you'd like, you can make a knowledge nature check and see if you can find the most natural place to sneak over the wall.
Okay.
So make a knowledge check for us, please.
That is a natural 20.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
He finds a secret gate.
So that's a 30. It's a 30 total.
All right, it's a 30 total. So he finds an area where the grass has grown really, really high up alongside the wall. The grass has actually creeped under the wall, and it's growing on both sides. And somebody just hasn't been cutting the grass, and you guys can hide in the grass and then pop out and climb over without being seen. Lachlan, if you'd like to make a distraction in the area so that they can get over, you're more than welcome. Make a performance check.
21.
21. Okay, so what do you do?
He's just gonna go put his hat out and play a tune.
Play Freebird.
Okay. All right, so you put your hat out and you play a little tune. People
It's
are
not going to be the well-hung halfling.
no. Okay,
It's Wonderwall.
okay, beautiful. So you put out your hat and you. I mean, you're probably worried it's going to get dirty, but you put it out anyway. You take one for the team, and you pretty soon you get a little crowd that kind of stops, And you get the idea that people, more of them want to stop, but they don't feel like they can. But you're playing pretty well, and some people just stop anyway. But they're not necessarily stopping like in a crowd around you. They're like stopping, I don't know, 20 feet away from you and like being like, oh, I have to stand here anyway. I might as well listen to the nice music. So, but you certainly accomplished distracting people. So in any case, there you go. All right, the rest of you, I will give you advantage on your stealth checks to get over. So you may roll twice and take the higher of the roll.
Oh, thank goodness. First roll was a 1.
I rolled 14 both times.
Okay.
I rolled 14 as well.
All right.
Second roll was a 20. Natural 20.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we
Very
are
nice.
stealthy.
From one extreme to the next.
Okay.
Unless Lachlan rolls a 1.
I just really, really wanted to do a flip or a barrel roll right at the end. Just,
Something.
show.
See,
Yeah, a
you're actually
20 A 20 on your stealth check, you're invisible. I mean, come on.
Basically, Anduriel grabs a
Can't
big
see me.
thing he grabs the grass, and he leaps up with grass in his hand and lets it go, and it covers him. Nobody saw me. Like, and all anybody thinks is the gentle stirring of the wind. Like,
I got a 26.
okay.
Dang.
All right. So you guys land on the other side of the cemetery, and you are struck by how orderly and beautiful and well-maintained the grounds are. There are pathways through the cemetery that are very nice. There are shaded tree areas. The grass has been cut and well kept. There are flowers all over the place. So it doesn't look like it's in disrepair. You're not really getting any sense of that. And then also something else. Anduriel, the moment that you step foot on the other side of the ground, you feel like your clerical powers are stronger in the graveyard. It's not particularly surprising to you because this is a place where death is respected and where death is honored. And so while you are in the graveyard, Anduriel, you will have a +1 to your attacks and your saves and your damage.
Oh, dip.
So
Where would I get one of those? Like a harem? Or
you would get one of those on a stage or
A TGI Fridays.
yeah, something like that. At a dinner theater, maybe like one of those, like something like that. Anyway, now, so that is what happens, and then Anduriel, something's happened too. A shadow crawls up from behind a gravestone, and it looks over to you, like it faces you, and then it slips down one of the pathways behind another stone.
Okay.
The rest of you do not see this.
I'm going to do a perception check to see if the shadow seems familiar or if it's yeah.
Okay?
24.
Okay, so you are paying very careful attention and you look at this shadow as it runs, and it looks vaguely like the shape of a man, and you can't really make out any more details other than the figure appears masculine.
All right. Good enough. I start to go that way.
Okay,
But I don't
so
tell anybody else just because I'm not used to being on a team.
mhm.
So I start stalking my way over there as silently as I can.
Okay, Anduriel just marches off of the path into a patch of graves.
I follow him. This is his if we ever go to a stage, he'll follow me. But here
Okay.
we follow the vampire.
Okay. All right. So, Anduriel, you come up to the grave where you saw the shadow slip behind, and there's absolutely nothing there.
Start digging.
I don't like that.
Odd. I wonder if there'd be any traces of energy or something. Well, I guess if I'm dialed in and I don't see anything, I don't see anything. Okay, is there a... So there's a graveyard, bunch of graves. Is there any, like, buildings or structures in the graveyard?
Do you look around?
Yeah, I'd like to look around.
Okay, you look around, and in the distance, you see the shadow pop up behind another gravestone and stand there.
I don't like this guy.
A little creepy Hansel and Gretel action going on. All right, little breadcrumb of demon shadows. Super fun. But we follow. We definitely follow. I do.
All right, so you follow. It doesn't move until you start moving, and when you start moving, it darts off further down into the grave, into a section of graves, and disappears behind another tombstone.
I'm a little confused. I don't know why Andoriel keeps wandering off, but I follow him.
Okay, and he's like going, like,
Wait, do you see something?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Of course I see something. I'm not some drunken idiot.
Okay.
I'm tracking a shadow. Quiet.
All right, Andoriel, you play cat and mouse with this shadow about 5 times, and each time he takes you about on maybe a 5-minute walk. Like, you see him in the distance, it pops up, and you actually walk up to the shadow, and you are actually at one point the shadow stops around this area of kind of mausoleums. And they're a little bit taller. They're fairly ornate. They're also quite old. But there are several mausoleums in the area. And the shadow stops. And as you approach, it whispers to you, "Walk in secret. Listen." And then it melts into the ground.
In front of the mausoleum? Okay, and I'm the only one that saw this.
Yes.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Thora, you have no idea what's going on. He's just going. For all you know, he could be like looking for like flowers to steal. Like, I got to make a bouquet for my girlfriend. Like,
Yeah. Thora doesn't know what's going on. John doesn't like this.
okay.
Anduriel says, "I'm going into the mausoleum. I need to go to the lower level of the mausoleum." And he starts to kind of check it out to make sure he's going to be able to enter as quietly as possible.
Okay. So the first things first, the mausoleum. You want to check the door?
Yeah.
Okay. The mausoleum door is actually open, which is very unusual for any of these to be left open. It's very well tended. It's quite old. And on the front of the doors, there are 2 lion heads with bits in the lion's mouths that are the knocker for the door. So, Anduriel, you want to open the door and head down?
Gizik's trained in magic, right? He's like, Gizik, you're trained?
Yeah.
Anduriel
I'm
turns to
the
Gizik
only one, right?
and says, "Ogre, will you please check this door for spells?"
Sure thing. Let's see. 19.
Okay. Gizik, there are no spells on the door, but you do catch a ward. You sense the presence of a ward inside the mausoleum. And you look down at this ward, and with a little bit of study, it's been etched into the floor, nothing more. And you pass your hand over it, and it's a ward that is designed to alert someone when a living creature steps over it, or around it, or in the area of it.
Does it look like it's been there a while?
No. Looks pretty fresh.
All right.
Can we disrupt that
Disrupt the ward? Yeah, you can disrupt the ward if you so choose to.
without setting it off?
Without setting it off, if you roll high enough. However, that being said, I would like to remind you, one of the party members is not living and could pass the ward quite easily without being detected.
Ooh.
Do you share that information?
I will say, Anduriel, you can go in, but I mean, we know that he's not alive, right?
Well, you know he's a vampire, and they're generally not alive.
He's
All
either
right. I'll say, Anduriel, you might be okay. There's a ward in there that will go off if anybody living crosses it.
Okay. Is there a way that I might be able to disrupt the ward once I get through, so the rest of you can come?
Well, you don't know. You're not trained in magic. Gizik is not only trained in magic, but he worships the goddess of runecraft. So
Right,
Gizik could certainly make a knowledge arcana check and try to disrupt the rune. But if he does that and he fails, it will go off and it will immediately alert the crafter of the rune to the fact that it's been disturbed.
Well, I'll go and check it out. And come back if there's anything amiss.
Okay.
Before I go in, I need to see if anybody has any soap, because as Spark Keeper?
Yep.
In the chat says, I need to be able to put that shadow back on once I catch it with some soap.
I love you, Spark.
Okay.
I'd ask Gizik, but I know that's a lost cause.
All right. So,
I got
Andrea,
soap.
this is actually not your shadow, but if you're really concerned about your shadow sticking with soap, then that would be...
Okay.
You can sew it back on.
I'm going to enter the mausoleum.
Okay. So, Anduriel, you enter the mausoleum, and the rest of you, if you want, can get out the mausoleum map that is in the Winter Run maps, if you have not done so already, which would be good. And Anduriel, you are in that first chamber. There are 4 large, ornate sarcophagi to the left and to the right. And there are stairs leading down. Mm-hmm. The rune that you saw, Anduriel, was in that very first square right in front of the door, which would be on line 14C.
So they could conceivably come in 15 on line 15 through that part of the door, or does it stretch across both?
No, it stretches across both.
Okay.
It's what it is. Gizik can explain to you that it's a radius. If you come within so many squares of this bad boy, it's going to go off.
All right. Well, onward and upward. I guess I need to take a look around the room. A little perception check, see if I see anything.
Okay, roll a perception check. Let's see what you notice.
8. That is 20.
Okay.
Not
So
20.
as you can see on the map, which I will go ahead and lift up for people in case they are interested in seeing it, Anduriel is in here on the map. Okay. Anduriel, you walk in there, and what you notice is that the sarcophagi they're beautiful, they're ornate, and they are of mostly, it looks like, at least in this room, all 4 of them are men, and they're men, and they look like knights. They have swords and shields carved into the stone. You can see that there are some symbols dedicated to the goddess Bestera, and some of the symbols have been scratched out or warped in subtle ways to just kind of, deface the holy symbol a little bit. And you can also see that the sarcophagi themselves have been opened. They've been disturbed.
Bad.
All of them, all 4 of them have been opened.
Are the bodies still in the sarcophagi, or
You'd have to open them yourself.
well, let's crack open the sarcophagus.
Okay.
There's no lets. You're still in there alone.
Okay.
I
So
meant the royal we, Jeffrey.
In the shadow.
You can just...
okay.
My shadow with
Yeah,
me.
you're like that.
Yeah.
Opening sarcophaguses.
Okay. Andrea, I'm going to need you to make a strength check. You will need at least a 13. So add half your level, which is 1, and your strength bonus.
Ooh, a +3. That's a 10. Oh, but my +3, 13.
Yes, you got exactly what you needed. Okay. So, Anduriel, you go and lift the sarcophagi, and it is very heavy, but you manage to lift it off, and it makes a kind of a loud sliding noise as you move it. Do you want to keep moving it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lachlan
right.
shouts in, "Hey, what you doing in there?"
And don't get too close. Stay back.
Lachlan, do you shout that in there?
Yes.
Okay. You shout it in there, hey, what you doing in there?
Hey, what you doing? Well, I hear the scraping, don't I?
Yeah.
I'm drinking ale and trying to bed wenches. What do you think I'm doing?
Well, then we got to take care of this ward because I'm coming in.
Okay. All right. Here's what happens. You shout that out, and Duro, you make the scraping noise, and somebody comes walking up the steps, and you see torchlight from the stairs in the center of the end of the room.
All right. I am going to
Hi.
You're gonna hide.
I'm going to jump into the sarcophagus.
You're going to climb into the sarcophagus.
I'm gonna pull a little Looney Tunes here. And just, I'm not doing that.
Are you going to close it again too?
I'm going to retreat. I'm going to leave it how it is, and I'm going to retreat out the door. Discretion is the better part of valor here.
Okay. All right. So you head out the door and you close the door?
No, I leave it exactly as it was. I leave the door open. I'm just
Okay.
trying to get out. Because up those stairs, I see the lights coming and I hear the footsteps, right?
Yeah.
So I come out. I tell them to kind of line up along the sides of the mausoleum because, we got company.
All right. So you go heading up and out the door, close the sarcophagus and whatnot. And when you head out the door, you hear steps coming up and see the torchlight from the edge of the open door. So the light is spilling out of the open mausoleum door. And you see that and you hear footsteps for a while and then nothing. Time passes and nothing. The torchlight then fades away.
All right. Well, that was strange. I sort of scold myself for fleeing. Who does that?
And possibly for associating with everyone here. But
that's a constant beration I have to deal with in my
okay.
mind.
Okay.
Lachlan says, "What did you see?" Telepathically.
I answer back. There was, as I started to open a sarcophagus, I heard footsteps and saw light coming up the staircase in the mausoleum.
Why, in the name of Naylock, were you opening a sarcophagus? Like for fun?
You can tell him that it had been opened previously or recently.
Or I can say, Bard, do I tell you how to minstrel? Do I tell you how to pluck your lute?
You probably do.
I am a cleric of Naylock. I'm investigating the unrest of the dead. If I need to open a sarcophagus, what business is it of yours?
Well, if it's full of some horrible, disgusting nastiness, it's my business.
All right, time out real quick. I'm sorry. Anduriel's he's a jerk. I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
It's okay. We just assume that you're like that too.
Oh, yeah. In fact, for those of you viewers who may be assuming that JT is much like his character Anduriel, I've got stories, man. This guy, no, I'm just kidding. Kidding. I love everyone on this stream. These are wonderful people.
Okay, I need to go. I need to go in and investigate this. This is something I haven't experienced before. So I start to walk in again.
Okay. You walk in and you hear voices now coming from down the steps. You don't see the torchlight now, but you hear voices, and some of them are kind of loud. You're going to have to get closer if you want to hear what they're saying. Or you can go back to looking at the sarcophagus.
Closer.
Do you want to make a stealth check? do you not want to? Did we
Nope,
lose it?
they tell me.
All right. You cut out for a second, JT. Can you tell us what your stealth check was, or do you not want to make one?
I am going to make a stealth check, yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's a nat 20. What the heck? Where was
Okay.
these rolls last week?
Well,
Where were?
I took them.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's very true.
That is true.
That was money well spent then. I'll do that all day. That's great.
Okay. Anduriel, you slip down to the edge, and you can hear them pretty clearly from the edge of the stairs. Okay. You also see a little flicker of light from the top of the stairs, which is where you get to at that point. Anyway, you hear a voice that sounds strangely like Epistivus saying, "Darkling, how much longer is this going to take?" And then a sharp female voice responds, "Don't call me that, and do not disparage my arts. You came to me, witch. You know divination is not a magic that can be rushed like your simple nature charms. The cards will speak when they are ready, and not a moment before." She keeps talking, but you're going to have to go in farther if you're going to hear her, because she's not yelling anymore.
Well, my interest is piqued. Let's see. That is a 16.
Okay. That is a 16 total?
Total.
Okay.
All baked.
All right. You hear her say, "The child in the mists. The priests do not know why they are here, but there are more of them. Death, love, souls, earth, the sun, the scholar, and the hearth. It would appear the gods mean to stand against us, brother." And you hear Epistivus's voice sound a little bit louder, and he says, "Perhaps we can turn the conversation to more worthwhile endeavors. As you casually banter here, my body progressively rots in that churchyard. The disdaining of spirits or the detaining of them is your province, is it not, devil? That is why you've been summoned to this plane in the first place, no? To circumvent spirits on their due course? Seems to me that the priority is to reinstate me to my body and repair the damage." Then you hear a silky, smooth voice respond in a very, very calm manner, not agitated like the woman and Epistivus. "Certainly. However, I cannot perform such a labor without the corpse, and I certainly not use while the head is detached. Furthermore, I am not altogether sure that such services are a part of my contract. I have kept your spirit from moving on, a function that our agreement certainly calls for, and I have not kept you here in torment, which is a clear deviation of the second clause of the contract. You might say that I have been inordinately generous in my interpretation of the contract. Now, should you wish to engage another aspect of our powers, your Mrs. Waterford will again have to enter negotiation with my lord's vassal." You hear Epistivus hiss something out about waiting long enough and being impatient, and then there's just some casual banter back and forth, but nothing else of substance.
Okay. Anduriel is pissed.
Okay.
These are the people that are responsible for the imbalance. They're responsible for the unrest of the undead. He draws his kukri and starts to proceed farther with the idea that he's going to wipe these specks off the map.
Okay.
Then he remembers. He's got a
Good.
team.
1 second. John, did you say something?
No, I was just going,
Okay.
Why you do?
Okay.
Then sort of the rage subsides just a little bit, and he realizes he's got a team outside. So he's going to try and make his way back outside and communicate everything to them and figure out a way to get everybody in, and then lay it down.
So Anduriel comes up and he says, "In chess, the pawns go first." Don't let me put words in your character's mouth. I'm just kidding. Okay, so Anduriel, you come back out.
Yes. Anduriel comes out. I think I found the source of the unrest of the dead. And I think we should have burned the body of that desecrator.
Okay.
So without context, I don't know if they're confused by what I'm saying. Probably like, whoa, bro.
So do you just kind of fill them in on what you heard?
Yeah, I give them the gist. Well, I tell them what I heard.
Okay.
Let's
All
go
right.
back. Let's go back right now
Let's go back where?
to the church.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to fight him again. I want to
Let's
go back.
burn the
I want
body.
to burn it. I want to salt it. I want to put it in the ashes in holy water, and then each of us say a prayer.
Okay, it occurs to you when Lachlan says, "Let's go back," Thora, that you have the animal messenger ritual, and you could certainly send a message back. All druids have the animal messenger ritual. They start with first level. So you could send an animal messenger back with instructions of what to do with his body.
Okay. In which case, he says, Lachlan, we do not need to return. And from one of his sleeves comes a living scarab beetle, and he whispers into it and lets it fly. And what he whispers is, Brother Havernell, please burn the body of Epistivus, the white, what was it, witch?
He's a white witch, yeah.
The white witch of the faith of man.
Okay. Well, there's no response with an animal messenger, so you don't
It's
have
just
like
"Woo."
a squirrel doesn't come back and go, "Rock on, dude." Like, okay.
Totally done, bro.
Well,
All right.
he could.
Too.
All right, so that ritual really takes a relatively short amount of time. It just takes minutes. So you whisper in, and the scarab flies off into the sky and is soon out of sight.
Gosh dang it, Spark. Sparkkeeper said, okay then, Jafar.
Okay.
Does Jafar talk to bugs?
I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
he
recall
talked to a
that.
Scarab at one
All
point.
right.
Oh, okay.
If your bug flies off and opens up the Cave of Wonders instead of delivering that message, it's fired. So,
It's a calm evening. Suddenly you hear, "Who dares disturb my slumber?"
Yes, disturb my
you
slumber.
pulled out the wrong scarab. Okay.
I think
Now-
Lachlan's just grossed out that he had that thing up his sleeve. Like,
I think most people would be.
I would agree. Okay.
Anduriel's cool with it. So Anduriel's he's chomping at the bit to get in there. I don't know if the rest of the crew wants to wait to receive word that it's actually been done. But
no,
he's-
while he's doing that, Lachlan says, "Gizik, let's get this word down, so that we're not sending a smoke signal that we're here." And I want to aid Gizik while Gizik tries to disrupt it.
Okay, Gizik,
Okay.
make a knowledge arcana check, my friend.
I'm trained, so I can aid, right?
You can aid, yeah.
Okay, I got a 17, so that should aid.
Okay.
All
So
right.
Gizik, you get to add a +2 to your knowledge arcana check.
In that case, I have a 26.
Ooh, that is more than enough. Okay. All right. So, Gizik, something interesting happens to you, too, when you go to disrupt this little circle of runes that's on the floor. They kind of rearrange themselves almost in the air in a way that makes it make perfect sense to you. And this has never happened to you before. So you look at the runes and suddenly you can see, like beginning to end, which ones you have to alter first in order to disrupt it. And you unravel this thing's magic like it was done by an amateur. So Gizik looks a little bit like a master pianist as he does this, and he's like, like he's Tom Cruise Minority Report all over the place, and the magic just goes. There's just this tiny little flash of light, and it's gone.
Thora turns to Anduriel and goes, I'm not sure what just happened.
It worked.
Did it work?
As far as you know.
Is it that surprising? I'm a witch. I should be able to... Let's just go.
Okay, I should be able to do that thing I did. Which is,
Guys,
Okay.
I know what
Yes,
I'm
how could I ever doubt you? All right, let's rock and roll, guys.
all right. Are you going to head down the stairs?
Yes.
doing.
I
Yes.
would also like to point out that there are 2 doors also on either side of that chamber, that upper chamber, that you have not opened. So, just letting you know that in case you need a room, you want to powder your nose before the battle, something. Anyway,
There's a powder room in the mausoleum.
hey, dude,
Nice.
loved ones come to visit their dead ones. Okay, or dead one. People come to visit their loved ones who've passed. So maybe there's a facility in the back. There could be a whole buffet in there. You don't know. So
They got to get their hair did, and they got to get their face done.
exactly. Okay, so you head down the steps, and who's going to be? I need a party order. Who's first?
I am.
Okay, Anduriel, you're first, and then who's after?
I think Thora is right on his heel.
Okay. Thora, you are right on the here. So, Anduriel, you get to the bottom of the steps, so you would be in square O14. Thora, you are right behind him on the steps. It's just 2 squares down. So you're on that square H14 right now. And Lachlan, you are behind him. And Gizik, I'm assuming you are behind him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Anduriel, you step down, and do you say anything? Are you trying to sneak in? What's your intention here?
Oh, I'm always trying to be sneaky. I'm just trying to sneak in to see what I can see and get a lay of the land.
Okay.
So let's roll a little checkaroo. That is a 5.
Is that a 5
Ooh.
you said?
Well,
Is he whistling?
He's singing his theme song.
here comes a Duriel. You can't see me.
Okay. So Anduriel heads down the stairs and goes, I got the stuff that you want. I got
No,
And,
it's the Kill Bill whistle.
Yeah.
He's coming to kill him.
Okay. All right, so Anduriel, you hit the bottom of the steps, and you look up, and the sight in front of you is both strange and also horrific. What you can see is there are all of those stick figures that you see on the map, my friend, which I'll hold up for people. We're looking right there. All the stick figures that you see are dead bodies. And they are on the ground, and they are all in various states of decomposition. However, Anduriel, you are a quick eye of the dead, particularly in aging corpse. You've seen a lot of corpses in your time, and it's part of your religion to understand decomposition. And so you look down, you can see that none of these dead bodies have been dead for too long. They've been somewhat carefully preserved, perhaps, or not been here for too long. So, that being said, you see that, but what's really disturbing, Anduriel, is that you can perceive their spirits are sitting on top of their bodies, kneeling, rocking back and forth, and they're all like whispering, but there's no sound coming from them. And they're in various states of distress. Some of them look like they're in pain, they're in weeping, and their ghostly forms all have some kind of runic ghostly chain that seems to be wrapped around them. Now, all the way at the end, you also see a small altar. Behind that altar is a middle-aged Vistani woman behind the altar, and she does not notice you. She's staring at some cards that she's laid across the altar. Behind her is a big flag that is kind of like blood red velvet, and there's a tall gray tower that's been embroidered into the flag. And then to the right, you see a bookshelf and a table. Now, you also see a ghostly, glowing Episcopus standing next to her, and he looks up and sees you. And then in front of the altar, you see a very disturbing-looking creature. It is a man dressed in rather fine clothes, but he has gauntlets that are made of chains wrapped around both of his arms, and he has kind of a necklace that looks to be just a chain made from various different kinds of metals or gemstones, perhaps. And he also has a chain running from his nose to his ears. So your variations on a theme here. His skin is also mottled. It's like reddish green, and he has two little horns protruding up from his skin. They're pretty short, but they curl backward. And he also has a nicely trimmed goatee. Everything about him bespeaks style and also attention to detail. And he is holding a chain in his hand also that kind of drips or drags along the floor, and the chain is glowing black and red. And those are the three people that you see in the room.
All right.
You step down there, and Epistovus sees you, and the guy with the horns sees you also. And Epistovus, he purses his lips, and he says, "They're here." And now, my friends, it would probably be initiative.
Yes.
Probably.
Well,
I called dibs on the guy, the cashier at Hop Topic.
In
Oh, I was thinking it was Jacob Marley.
in all likelihood,
50-50 shot. He's either an undead evil person or he's a cashier at the Hop Topic. Either way, he's going down.
you could ask. Okay.
When'd your shift get over, bro?
Okay.
Initiative. Yes, I got to roll initiative. Here we go.
I got an 11.
All right.
19.
Ooh, very nice.
10.
Okay.
22. Whoops, sorry, 22.
Dang.
All right. Thora, you got a 19?
Yep.
All right. Ooh, he only gets a 10 also. Okay, and... Ooh, wow, that's not too bad. Epistovus gets himself a 7. Okay. All right, my friends. That is where we go. So at the top of the initiative, we have Anduriel. Anduriel, you can do whatever you like, but the Vistani woman looks as though she's about to speak.
Well, that's not good.
She
Okay,
holds up her hands when she sees you, and she looks like she's going to say something.
Can I get the exact like square locations of all the baddies here?
Yes, you can. Okay, so in square V13, we have Epistovus the Spirit. In square V14, we have the Vistani woman. And in square T15, we have the man in the suit with the horns and the chains.
Okay.
Okay, Anduriel, I would like you to make a knowledge religion check to see if you can identify who the man is or what he is.
That is a... Oh, I got to add my bonus. I don't get a bonus for being in the graveyard on that stuff, right? Just the attacks.
Nope, just
And
on attacks, saves, and damage.
Right, okay. So that is 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay, Anduriel, you are positively sure that he is some kind of a devil. So he is actually not from this plane of existence. Based upon the conversation that was happening about contracts that you heard, you are reasonably sure he's a devil. And based on the motif you're seeing, you think that he is a chain devil of some kind. Chain devils are responsible for basically the holding and capturing of damned souls. But really that's all you know about him. He does not look like the classic kind of chain devil that you studied about in the Church of Naylock. Chain devils, when you studied about them, they seemed like they were monstrous, devilish creatures, but they weren't this sophisticated, or ornate looking. So
Okay.
something to note.
Okay.
All right. The rest of you on your turn can also make a knowledge religion check if you would like. Okay, your turn, Anduriel.
Okay, I'm going to. Oh crap, we're in the same day, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Son of a gun. Well, there goes Swarm of Shadows. It was going to be so cool.
Well, it would have been very cool. They're all clustered too.
They're so clustered. Okay, that's cool. It's fine. No biggie.
It's okay. It's okay. It's nothing.
I mean, I'm not gonna cry about it. Probably.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to try and attack the Vistani woman
Okay.
over the table.
There's a devil, and you're like, no, let's go for the chick.
I see her trying to cast her little mojos.
Okay.
I'm going after her.
He's afraid he's going to get a nasty paper cut from those cards. It'll never go away. Okay.
And Duriel, yeah. Anyways, so he's not. Yes, her type of attack is something that he's more worried about than a physical attack.
Okay. And Duriel, you would have to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into square U13 if you want to attack her physically. Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
All right. So you are now. You move into Epistifus's threat range, but you do not provoke an attack of opportunity. You are now adjacent to her. You also have a minor and a standard.
I'm going to. Well, shoot.
You're going to shoot.
I pull out a gun, hold it sideways. Bam, bam, bam.
So,
Put them gods down.
Anduriel is now Celine, the vampire hunter.
Well, I was going to use charm. So I had a question about charming gaze. It says the target can't make an opportunity attack or take immediate actions till end. That's the end of my turn or the end of their turn?
That's the end of your next turn.
I'm going to use my minor action and do charming gaze on the Vistani woman.
Okay. So now, give me one moment here.
Well, it's a close blast 5, actually, so it would catch.
Yes, it's a close blast 5, but it's only one target that you can use this on.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, her still.
And she can't take immediate actions like interrupt actions.
Okay.
Very nice. Okay. Anduriel, your eyes blaze with an unholy light. What color is it? Is it red like traditional undead or something else?
No, it's like campfire orange.
Okay. So Skyrim orange, Anduriel, your eyes blaze with red light, and she looks up at you and she can't move. She's like, and now it's your standard action.
Taste of life versus fortitude.
Her fortitude is 18, my friend. It's
Okay.
quite high.
Oh, please.
I believe in you.
I believe you can fly.
17. Oh, but I get the +1 because I'm in the graveyard. 18.
That is true. 18. Okay. So how do you do it? And are you going to use a blood drinker with it?
I am using Blood Drinker with it.
Okay.
And since I'm using Blood Drinker, it looks different than if I would have just done Taste of Life. So I run over, jump up on the altar. My eyes blaze with that. It's
Orange?
not quite vampire or hellfire. It's sort of, there's something different about it because it's a little more bright and a little more light. And she kind of freezes, and Duriel grabs her hair, yanks her head over, and just bites down onto her neck.
Okay. She's horrified and she can't move because of your gaze. So she can't react. She just opens her mouth in a wordless scream.
Okay. I guess I should roll damage, huh?
Well, that would help.
We'll never know if I don't. All right.
Should we just leave it a mystery and decide at the end of the battle what happened?
And then something happens.
Okay.
8, 9. 17 points of damage.
Did you add the 1d10 from Blood Drinker?
I did, yep.
Okay. Oh, she loves you. She wants to be your best friend now.
For real.
All right, Anduriel, your fangs sink into her, and the devil in front of the altar giggles slightly, and Epistovus just kind of floats back a little bit as you approach, and she screams wordlessly. Is there anything else you would like to do on your turn? That's your minor, your move. You want to use your action point, or?
I would like to use my action point.
Okay.
I heard said giggling, and I did not appreciate it.
Oh.
I just did something really cool. You can't giggle at me. So
Giggle.
I'm going to turn and I'm going to try and attack the devil guy.
Okay, he is not adjacent to you.
I'm on U13 and he's on 14T, isn't he?
He's on 15T.
15T.
That's why you didn't provoke an attack of opportunity running that way.
Oh, okay. Well, then I will save my action point.
Okay. Alrighty, my friend.
I'm just going to scowl really hard at him.
All right. So you turn your gaze on him, and he just kind of seems amused. Thora, it is your turn, my friend. You are now confirming, well, at least he seems an awful lot like a vampire, Thora. The thing that is confusing to you is that you've seen him walking in daylight, so you're not quite sure what to think. But if it walks like a vampire and it talks like a vampire...
And it eats like a vampire.
Just a nibble.
Yeah.
It's just a nip, it is.
A little peakish.
Yep.
So Thora is taken aback, but he seems to worship the same kind of cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So Thora's not going to judge him too harshly.
That's the other side of the coin.
Yeah. With my speed of 6, could I get to Q18?
Could you get to Q18? Yes, you can.
Okay. I'm going to move there, and Thora is going to use his channel divinity and aim it toward the chain devil, if possible.
That will also hit Epistovus if you choose to aim it that way.
That was the plan.
Okay, very nice. All right.
Nice.
In order to use channel divinity, you have to call out to the wolf mother. What do you say to her?
Let me pull it up so I make sure I don't say it wrong.
Okay.
He places his hands together and then on the ground in front of him as he kneels down, and he says, Finhafara, sunder the earth, leave these enemies as food for the new growth. And the earth, like, shatters.
Okay. All right. He channels divinity, and he uses Sorrow of the Earth Mother, which is one of my custom divine channel divinity powers. Anyone in the 10-foot path he does touching the ground falls prone and 2 squares deep into a pit and cannot rise until the end of his next turn. So he drops the devil into a pit and also Epistovus' spirit, and they are trapped in the earth.
Is it anyone or any enemy?
Anyone.
Does that mean that
I specifically
Anduriel's down there too?
Anduriel.
No, it moves in a line diagonal from him. So all the squares diagonal from Thora are now a 2-foot, they're now a 2-square pit. So the altar in front of the Vistani woman, it tips and it falls into the pit in that
was
square.
also part of the plan.
But so where's Anduriel standing then? I thought he was on that spot on the altar.
Nope,
U13.
Anduriel is to the left of the altar on U13.
Yeah, I just sort of bounded.
So Anduriel, he calls out to the Earth Mother, and a pit opens up right in a diagonal line across in front of him. Very nice, Thora. You still have a minor action if you would like to do anything like transform into your bug form in case someone attacks you.
Yeah, he's going to transform into a swarm of scarab beetles again, just because I like grossing out the chat.
Very nice. Okay. All
And
right.
you're on what square again? Q.
Q18.
Yep, he's on Q18 right in front of Bob. So one of the bodies drops down. The devil drops into this pit. So John, go ahead and roll 1d10 points of damage for the devil and Epistovus for dropping them 2 squares.
Where's my die 10? There it is. It's just a 2.
Okay, So 2 points of damage to Epistivus and 2 points of damage to the devil. Not like the devil himself, but a devil. Like,
Yeah. I have wanted to use that ability so bad. So I'm really glad I got to use it strategically.
Very nice. Okay, so he calls on the power of the Earth Mother and drops them into a pit. And as he smashes is it your fist or your staff into the ground, or just your hand?
He places both hands kind of gently. Like
Okay.
he kneels down and places them gently on the earth.
Very cool. So in the kneeling position, as he kneels down, I imagine Thora probably smiles a little bit, and then his body just dissolves into a bunch of scarabs again. And there's a swarming pile of scarabs. Which is to his advantage, because if anybody hits him now, he'll get his damage reduction for being in swarm farm.
Sorry, swarm farm.
Yeah. Okay, Anduriel, the Vistani woman who is in she regains her presence of mind, and she looks pretty horrified, but she is not in the pit. And Anduriel, you break contact with her briefly because the earth opens up, and she backs up, and she seems to get a hold of herself, and she shifts over to square 15V to get away from you. 1 square. And she is going to use Eyes of the Vistani, which is a close burst 5, but it affects 1 person. And Anduriel, she's using it at you because you freaking better. So
That's fair. That's fair.
That is fair. What is your will, Anduriel?
Will is she's not it's 14.
Okay, so she got a 16, unfortunately for you. Okay, Anduriel, she steps back and she looks at you and she says, "Filthy vampire," and she says, "Why don't you look into my eyes?" And she looks at you, and her eyes start glowing like with an unearthly white light. Anduriel, you are suddenly immobilized and gain vulnerability 5 as you feel her enchantment fall over you. She uses Eyes of the Vistani Matron on you.
All right.
Which is not good for you. And that is all that she is going to be able to use on her turn. And that was her turn. Lachlan, it's your turn, my friend.
So what did Anduriel's gaze do to her?
Well, you don't really know. You've never seen him use it before. And also, when was the last time you read a book on vampire gazes?
Well, no, I'm just wondering. So because all she did was a minor action.
No, she did a move, shift back 1 square, and she used her standard action to use Eyes of the Vistani Matron on him.
Oh, okay.
So she has not used a minor. She had a minor action, but she doesn't do anything with it.
Okay. Can I see the devil, or is he down?
He's in a pit. He's been dropped into a pit.
Okay. So I need to move. If I move to 15S, so I'm adjacent to the pit, then I can look down and see him. Will that work?
15S, you say? Okay. 15. Yes, you can do that.
All right.
Okay, Lachlan. Something very disturbing happens to you as you move past those first 2 dead bodies.
No.
Yeah. Something very unfortunate happens. You move past those dead bodies, Lachlan, with those spirits that are in those squares, like racked and tormented, and you suddenly feel very sick in that aura of the dead body, and one of the spirits sees you, and it reaches out and claws at you and does 5 points of damage, of necrotic damage to you. And when it lashes out at you, it seems to do so in animalistic rage, like it's taking out its pain on you, and it just goes, reaches out and does 5 points of necrotic damage. And you are feeling sickened in this aura. And Duriel, who has resistance to necrotic, did not notice it. And also, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
He did. Very did.
All right. Well, let's
go to the movies. Let's
Ooh.
see the stars. Take it, John. It's Lachlan's.
So I'm just the pit's still there. It doesn't go away.
No, he done made a pit in the earth.
Okay. So
I made a big
so
hole.
I can move someone into that. You tell me.
I don't know. Can you?
Well, that's what I would like to do.
You can. You know the 4th edition rule about being able to grab the edge.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what I want to do. I want to target the Vistani woman.
Why did she get out of bed this morning?
Well,
Okay.
I was gonna go for the devil, but she just sneered at my ally, and used some kind of nastiness on him. So
She immobilized him and made him vulnerable.
I think she wants to go in the pit.
Nobody puts Anduriel in a corner.
Oh, geez. Okay. Oh, and it's
What's her will?
her will is going to be 18, my friend. She's got pretty high defenses.
That's a 26.
Oh,
She can take
Not
that.
that high. Woo,
Yeah.
dang.
All right. So she's gonna take 8 points of damage.
Okay, what power are you using on her?
Oh, sorry, I'm using Blunder.
What kind of damage is it?
It's untyped.
Okay.
So, and then I'm going to slide her into square. I'm going to slide her left. So 14V.
Okay, 14V is right behind the altar. That's one.
Uh-huh. And so I get to slide her 3 squares, and an ally can make a melee basic attack against her during the slide.
Okay, and Duriel, whack her.
With pleasure.
Kukrify her.
Give her a smack.
And you get a +3 to your attack roll.
And Lachlan, if she had any interrupts, she can't use them because Anduriel's gaze is holding her.
That's the thing. I still got my fire eyes.
Far. Yeah.
Oops, that rolled into the little trough here. 1 second. Okay, here we go.
It rolled into the trough.
It
How
rolled
the-
into the pit.
It's
You're
all
gonna play it
good.
in the barn.
Just have those things here. It
Yeah,
rolled
no,
right
I
in
got
there
you.
instead
Yeah.
of there. Anyways, okay, so 14 plus 7, 21.
21 is a hit.
Cool. So
Is
this time-
it 21 or 22? Did you add your +1?
oh, 22. Sorry. I
And a
didn't-
+3 from me, so it's a 25.
All right, 25. All right, you done hit her.
Do I hear 30? Do I hear? Okay.
Dang.
So it's kukri time.
Okay.
That's a 2. Well, plus the kukri damage is 7, plus the 1 because of the graveyard, 8.
Okay.
And I have this nifty little thing called Blade of Nightmares. And whenever I hit with any attack, the enemy is immobilized till end.
Okay, you would like to use Blade of Nightmares. All
I
right.
would like very much to use that.
All right.
Oh, wait,
so
you know what? No, don't immobilize her. She's in the middle of getting split into the
Oh wait, yes, she's sliding. I'm just cutting her while she's
Okay.
going by. Never mind.
well, you can see her sliding by you too, so it would make sense that you wouldn't use that if you saw her heading towards danger. No, fair maiden, let me help you. As I cut you.
Slice.
All right. So Anduriel, she goes stumbling past you as Lachlan plays puppet with his lute, and as Lachlan plays different chords, she takes gangly steps. On one of the steps, she slams her head into the altar, the stone altar in front of her, and comes up with a bloody nose. And Lachlan keeps moving her.
So I want to then move her into 14U, where the altar fell.
The altar, so that square is now occupied, my friend. So she's lying on top of a flat surface, ground level.
Oh, okay. So
'Cause
what if
see
I
how-
drop her? What if I
Yes.
drop her on top of a pistis then?
You can do that.
That's what I want to do then.
All right, so you move her into 13V,
Yeah.
and she goes, "Wah!" and falls into the pit on top of ghostly Epistivus. Like, get off me, woman! And roll 1d10, please. She takes 1d10 damage from the fall.
She can save to catch herself, though.
Yes, she can. So, in 4th edition D&D, for those of you who don't know, there is an alternate rule that we frequently use because we don't want to fall into a pit of lava when the enemy slides us. If you make a saving throw on a 1d10, which is a 10 or higher, you catch yourself. She has no bonus to her saves, so she rolled a 6. She falls into the pit. Roll 1d10 damage.
7.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, it is. Boy, no love for the Vistani woman today. Just...
Nope.
Okay. All right. So she slams her head onto the altar, and then Lachlan goes tang, 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 and she lumps over and she swan dives into the pit, according to her, like end over end goes, ah! Boom. And
You're welcome for the hole.
Yeah, Epistivus goes, get off of me. And she takes the full damage, but Epistivus, who is insubstantial, does not notice as she falls through him the same way. So, all right, Lachlan, anything else you would like to do? Move, standard?
With my minor action, I'm gonna activate my defender aura so that they're marked if they're by me.
Okay.
And
Alrighty.
that is it.
All right. Gizik, my friend, what is your dexterity?
-1.
Okay.
Well, 8.
That means
Well,
that the devil is going to go first, and you are going to go second. Okay, so she falls into the pit, and he laughs, and he looks down at her, and he goes, and then he says, Marietta, my dear, get out of the pit, girl. And then he looks around at all of you, and he says, you brought a vampire. I wouldn't have expected that. And then he decides to take his chain, and he is going to use Spirit Pull.
does he climb out of the pit before he does all this?
Yes, he does. I will make a climb check for him.
He cannot rise until the end of my next turn.
Oh, very good. Never mind. Okay.
Ooh.
What will he do down there?
Take
I
that,
love
Chuckle.
this channel of this channel divinity. It is so cool.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. Then he can only see. Nope, he can't. Well, Lachlan, you're the only one that he can see because you're on the edge of the pit.
Yeah.
So he is going to use hellish chains on you. What is your reflex, Lachlan?
15.
Okay. When you're prone, you get a -2 to attack, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So he is going to use hellish chains. So he only has a +5. He needs a 10 to hit you. And he gets a 14. Anything you can do about that?
No.
All right. Lachlan, you take a bit of damage from his spiked chain. Or you take 9 points of damage, Lachlan, and you are restrained.
First
Say
time
that.
Lachlan's ever been restrained.
Save ends.
Well, not recreationally. Anyway.
What is
Okay.
restraint? That shouldn't affect him at all. He doesn't even know
Yeah.
what that means.
In fact, he might even fight better that way. Anyway, moving on. Okay. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's all right, Lachlan. He reaches up that glowing ghostly chain that he had. He reaches it up, and it kind of lengthens out and wraps around you, and spikes come out of the chain and like cut into you, and you are restrained. And he looks up and he laughs, makes that joking move, and he says, not quite as safe as we thought, are we, Bard? And that will be what he does. And Lachlan, he's going to use his minor action to use Soul Trap on you.
Doesn't sound good.
And- It's as horrible as it sounds. Okay, when you are restrained, do you grant combat advantage?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He got a 21 versus your will, which is actually a 19. Anything you can do about that?
Yes. I have Bastion of Mental Clarity, my racial power, so I'm going to use it.
That seems like a good idea to me.
So the good news is it's a burst. So everybody, all of me and allies within 5 have a +4 to will until the end of my next turn.
All right. Bastion.
That was close.
That's 4. And frightening. Now, Gizik, Thora, and Duriel, here is what you see. A chain, a ghostly red glowing chain comes out of this pit, and it wraps around Lachlan, and he pulls on the chain, and you see Lachlan's spirit start to come out of his body. It looks exactly like Lachlan, dressed the same way, and then Lachlan probably gets a panicked look in his eye, and he concentrates. And Lachlan, what does it look like when you break the chain's control?
I think it's got a visual effect. It's like I think it's like his head almost flashes with a like a ripple, like the sonic boom kind of look. It's just a ripple from him because it's a burst that affects everybody.
All right. So Lachlan's spirit seems to glow briefly, and then boom, that sonic boom, white light goes out, and his spirit flies back into his body, and the rest of you have a white glow around your heads, kind of protecting your thoughts. And it's a good thing that you had Bastion of Mental Clarity, because that were going to be ugly.
All the scarabs now have little halos.
Okay, little halos on the scarabs. Okay.
I'm not really in the room yet, so
oh yeah,
I don't think that affected me.
Sorry,
That is
Gizik.
his turn. Okay, Gizik, it is your turn, my friend.
Okay, now I walk down the stairs into the room.
Okay.
I see these people I know in a big pit.
Lachlan is wrapped up in chains. It's the first time you've ever seen him outside of the... Never mind.
Oh, my.
Anyway, Lachlan is wrapped in a chain, and Duriel is on it, like seems to be struggling against some invisible force that's preventing him from moving. And there are a bunch of beetles on the floor and a huge pit in front of you in a diagonal line.
Well, I see the chains going down into the pit, right? I will,
Yes,
I don't know, sap the soul so it will hit whatever's down in the pit.
Okay, where are you going to move to?
I am moving to P14, just at the base of the stairs.
Okay. All right, now.
Okay, so that's 14 versus Fortitude on the Chain Demon.
He's the devil, and unfortunately, that does not hit.
Okay.
Is it close?
It is actually close. It's within 3. Can you grant him 3?
I can. I'm going to do Adept's Insight.
Okay.
It's a +5 actually to that roll.
Aha! You hit.
Bam.
Okay, then it does 5 damage.
Okay. And what does that grant you?
Temporary hit points.
All right. And what does it look like when you sap the soul? What do you throw into the pit?
There's kind of I probably describe this differently every time.
That's okay. It's your magic.
There's a green orb that flows over to where the pit is, and then it kind of has like just green lines, almost like electricity coming off of it, and then they latch on to anybody they see there and kind of suck the energy in, and then a stream of this green energy just comes flying back to me.
All right, so Gizik pulls a Shang Tsung, throws that green orb in, and then sucks the energy out, maybe with a few lines of red in addition to it. So, all right, very nice. Anything you want to do with your minor action? Would you like to bewitch someone?
I can't see anybody.
Well, you could always bewitch one of your friends for fun.
Make them walk into the pit?
Yeah, something like that. You could also drink a potion, or you can say something if you want to with a minor action. You can make ship face at them if you want to with a minor action.
You could say, I came to kill things and shoot bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Oh,
No, all right.
we should fill in the pit.
All right, so Giz with a minor action goes, "Hey, let's fill in the pit, guys."
Okay, yeah, that's it for my turn.
Okay, very good. All right, and with that turn, we now have Epistivus' turn. Epistivus cannot move out of the pit, and the only person that he can see, Anduriel, is you at the edge of that pit. And
For real.
so, Epistivus is going to try to bewitch you first, Anduriel. What is your will, my friend?
Now it's 18.
All right. He has a -2 because he's prone, correct, Lachlan?
Yeah.
Okay, so he needs... Wow. He needs a 16. And he got a 15. Very good. So, Anduriel, he is unable to bewitch you.
I didn't need that in my life right now.
And Anduriel, he is going to use... he's going to cast a light blinding at you. A light binding. So he lifts his ghostly hand, Anduriel, and the light from the torches on the wall begins to gather and swirl into his hands, and then he hurls it at you, kind of like that, and it starts to wrap around you like a vice. Let's see if he hits. And he rolls a 2, and it flies into the ceiling.
My shadow's too much.
That's his minor. That is his standard action. And he'd love to get up. Unfortunately, the power of the earth is holding him in the pit, and he cannot do so. All right. And that is
The power of the pit.
Epistivus. Okay. And he looks up at you, and he says, "We're on equal footing now, vampire. You'll fall prey to my spells, but your attacks will pass right through me." And then he's like, "Ugh!" And he can't, the earth is holding him in place, and he's really confused because as a spirit, he should be able to pass right through it, and he can't. So, power of the earth mother at play. Alrighty. And that brings us to the end of the round. And Uriel, I will circle you. We will start with you on our next Holy Rollerz episode. We will begin play next time, the first week of January. Correct, gentlemen?
Right.
Yes.
The 4th?
So, yes. So we shall resume on January the 3rd, it looks like, of 2019. In the interim, we will be releasing this coming week episode 0 of Holy Rollerz, so you can watch our first practice episode, and we will continue from there. John, will you be able to join us that week in January?
I think so. I'd be happy to if you'll have me.
All right, you're on a 3-episode arc,
Absolutely.
buddy. Here we go. Okay, we got a 3-episode guest star here. We will finish out that combat and move on from there, which will be fun. We'll pick it up with Enduro. And great. So, Merry Christmas to everyone. And we have Consider This tonight, and Jeff has our Consider This. So take it away, Jeffrey.
All right. So I was listening to the radio, I think yesterday morning, and they were talking about Christmas and how much people are willing to pay for various things to be done. Like, I guess they did a survey, and they were saying that people would be willing to pay $150 to have somebody do their shopping for them, or $90 to have somebody wrap the presents for them. And they totaled it up, and it, something like $1,500 to have somebody else do Christmas for you. And I was thinking, it doesn't sound like these people are really enjoying all of those aspects of Christmas. If they're saying, hey, I don't want to bother with it. I don't know if they would really pay somebody to do it, but it's always tempting. And I don't know. One tradition that I've been doing for a while is celebrating Advent and just kind of thinking about the whole Christmas season, over a whole month, and not kind of changing the whole focus of it, instead of constantly thinking about presents and everything else. Just kind of thinking about the more religious aspects of Christmas. And one thing that's really done a lot for me is just kind of it simplifies the season. It's still nice and fun and comforting, but it's just a completely different focus and a completely different holiday. And I think that if there is a war on Christmas, it's happening in our hearts. It's, it's a kind of a, are we going to spend a lot of money on Christmas, or are we going to celebrate it? Anyway, so
Good.
Just consider that.
Awesome. Anybody have anything they would like to add to that?
No, I think that's a great message, and it really helps to provide some focus on a time when it's so easy to get distracted. So it's a perfect message. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, good things to keep the Christ in Christmas for those of us who worship the Savior and the Father. That's good for us to remember. And I think that's something I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for some way to help my kids to remember why the season started and what it's all about. One of the things that my family's done in the past that may be a good idea for anybody who's watching is we have a calendar of December, and we haven't done it this year, but we did it last year. And every day of the calendar, I have my kids look up something that Jesus said in the Bible or the Book of Mormon, and then we write it down on the calendar. And then as we go through every night before we have family prayer or say goodnight to the kids, we read the things that we've written on the calendar. And so by the end of the month, we've read like 24 things that Jesus said. So it's a good way to review his words. So I wish I'd done that this year. So that's good to remind me, Jeffrey, that I need to do it again next year or pick it up now.
Yeah, you can do 4 days.
He doesn't care when you start, right? He just cares that you're doing it. So awesome. Anything anybody else would like to add?
Merry Christmas.
Awesome. Okay. Very good. Merry Christmas and good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas. Bye.